like to call to order the September 21st, 2021 Brooklyn City Board of Education meeting. Mrs. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Here.
Mr. Neal.
Here.
Mr. Oper.
Here.
Mr. Slattery.
Here.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Here. Can we stand for the pledge, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. In order for the board to fulfill its obligation to complete the planned agenda in an efficient and effective fashion, a maximum of 30 minutes of public participation as it pertains to school-related topics will be permitted at each meeting. Each person wishing to address the board will approach the podium, state his or her name and address. If several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 3 minutes until the total time of 30 minutes is used. During that period, no person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. The period of public participation may be extended by a vote of the majority of the board. Do we have anyone who would wish to speak tonight?
Good evening. My name is Mike Changari. I live at 8705 Morton Avenue in the great city of Brooklyn, Ohio, 44144. Telephone number 216-905-0051. Email address michaelchangari@protonmail.com. Before I make my remarks, I had a question. I was unable to open up this procedural public participation in the board meetings. Is there a way, do you have a copy of that? No.
Not,
Okay. Board
It's-
policy,
Yeah,
just check
board
our board policy.
Well, no, it says you guys are gonna vote on something, and I wasn't able to open the file that was attached on, at home.
Which one, which file? Which
The-
one, which number?
4-1. Says recommended resolved PO 0169-1, public participation, and P
I
08450.
can email, I'll email those to you tomorrow.
Okay. If I may, I would like to comment positively about the choices for Mrs. Kimberly Creamer. She is the replacement for Mr. Tansky. My son enjoys her in the class. She's a definite yes. The other ones that you're going to certified salary schedule placement, I agree with all of those individuals. Finally, I just wanted to say that I did not receive any phone calls or letters to go to the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce meeting tomorrow. Unfortunately, I would love to attend, but I am not able to. I have 2 other events scheduled for tomorrow. If another event comes up in the future, I would be more than happy to be contacted and participate.
Mr. Slattery, I would like you to comment on that.
Well, so you're saying that I didn't
No,
personally invite you at the football game? I came up to you and gave you the time of day.
No, I'm saying that I'm not able to attend, and
But
I'm
you
letting
said
you know
didn't
now.
receive an invitation.
I'm letting you know now, I am not able to attend.
Okay,
And
but
then
you
in the
received an
future-
invitation, correct?
No, I did not. There was no mail.
I didn't talk to you personally and invite you.
And I said I had 2 other appointments that day, and I was not
Okay,
able to attend.
so there was an invitation.
But the way it was presented, it was in the mail.
I
which
sent you
did
an
not
email.
receive. I did not receive the email.
Okay, well, that's why I invited you in person as
And I verbally told
well.
you and the other members of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, I'm making it public, I would like to attend, I'm not able to, so there is no ambiguity as to my position.
Okay, well, I just want to make it clear that you were invited. It's not like you were ignored.
Well, no, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying
You just
thank you
did.
to you. No, I didn't. I said thank you for the invitation, I have 2 other events
You
tomorrow.
said you never received an invitation. That's how you opened it up. So I just want to make sure that we're
The invitation
factual.
was not received by mail. It says mail. I didn't get anything in the mail from the post office, and I didn't receive a phone call.
Well, there was nothing sent. It was
We'll
sent
let
by
him go
email
on.
and invitation.
We'll let him continue his comments, but he was invited.
Absolutely
Thank you.
was.
All right, and then other than that, I would just like to say that in the future, there was an announcement that was made by one of the teachers in the classroom about homecoming that says at any time, we reserve the right to mandate masks. As last I checked, there is no state emergency. The governor did not establish that we are in a state of a pandemic. The legislature of the state of Ohio stated that there is no emergency, And finally, I will say that the CDC does not have jurisdiction in this state or in this city. These violations are all related to the Ohio Constitution, Article 1, number 21. And I am done with that, and I would like to say thank you very much, and have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Chingary. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay. Now on to our superintendent's report and Dr. Ted Caleres.
Good evening, Mrs. Barczyk, Board of Education. At this time, I'm going to defer my comments to allow Mr. Hare and Mr. Larson. One of the great things about being back in person is we're able to start our presentations back. So at this time, Mr. Hare and Mr. Larson, come on up and present, regarding programming and showcasing some of the things that have been going on.
Awesome, thank you so much, Dr. Caleres, Mrs. Barczyk, Board of Education. We'd like to thank you for having us here this evening. I think it's really important for us to be able to highlight our students, and we're also going to highlight some of the great things that our staff are doing in our building, because what we've seen over the last 3 weeks, really 4 weeks with staff as well, we've seen a lot of growth, we've seen a lot of student engagement, we've seen a lot of great things occurring that we're excited about and we're excited to build on as we travel throughout this school year. First, a little bit overdue, but I'd like to invite Jenny Young. Can you come down? So Jen, I'm going to have you stand there and actually face out so everybody can see you smile. All right. So Jenna is a junior here at Brooklyn High School. She currently is taking AP Stats, English 3, Anatomy, and also attends a Polaris for cosmetology. One of the reasons that I wanted to highlight those is we have student athletes that accomplish great things, but one of the keys to why they come to school is the academic piece. You can see the AP courses. She's getting experience at Polaris. She's also involved in other higher level courses that are going to lend to her success in her future. But her athletic accomplishments. So last year, Jenna won regionals, districts, and all local meets that she participated in high jump. She qualified to districts for not only high jump, but also the 100-meter hurdles, where she took first place. She took second place in the indoor state high jump, and then she also took second place in the outdoor state high jump for Division II. Her personal record, which is astounding because she's pretty much jumping over me. She jumped 5 feet 6 inches. We talked about it. She said this year she's going to get up to 5'8", but it's still something that she's working on. So I just wanted to recognize one of our not only athletes, but student athletes who's doing great things in the classroom, great things in athletics, and great things in our school community. So thank you, Jenna. Yes, sir.
Jenna, was it the same girl you lost to on the indoor and outdoor? Two different?
The girl who she took third and
Oh, okay.
I told them I wouldn't, but I wanted to highlight as well, her parents are with her this evening. I think another thing that's really important for us as a school, but also our school community, is just the involvement of parents and their participation, not only supporting our athletes, supporting our school, but supporting us at these events too. So let's thank her family as well. Next up, I'm going to pass it over to my wingman, Mr. Larson, who's actually kind of a special presentation that we have in Peace. So, Mr. Larson, you want to introduce our next presenter?
Yeah, I'm not going to do a whole lot of speaking when she is up here, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce our foreign exchange student, Miss Neely Lombardy. She's going to go up here and explain some of the differences between her experiences as a German student and then what she's experiencing here at Brooklyn High School.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and of course, thank you for the chance to be a student at the Brooklyn High School. I will give my best. First of all, the school in Germany is different because of the different school types. In America, children go to elementary school, after preschool, then to middle school, and then to high school. They graduate after 12 years as a senior. In Germany, children go to kindergarten when they are 3 to 4 years old. At 6 years old, then 4 years of elementary school, and then they were divided into 3 different types of school, depending on their level of performance. The best go to what we call gymnasium. Most of them go to a Realschule, and those who need a little more support from the level of learning go to a Hauptschule. At this moment, the so-called special schools are abolished in Germany. These were for students who have learning disabilities. Now these students are being placed in other types of schools. In Germany, you have to go to school for at least 9 years. After 10 years, you will have your first degree. With this, you can start an apprenticeship. Otherwise, you go to school for 12 to 13 years. That depends on the respective federal state. Then you have your so-called Abitur and can study at a university. The school lengths also differs. While the students in America usually have school until 3 o'clock, students in Germany go home around 1 o'clock. In the upper level, that means from the 11th to 13th class, it happens that you also have lessons in the afternoon, but not every day. That's why German students also eat lunch at home. That's because, for example, in my school, you only have 3 to 4 subjects a day. These are 90 minutes long, and after each lesson, there's a break of 20 minutes. The different courses are also a big difference. While in America there are compulsory and elective courses, there are only compulsory subjects in Germany, and significantly more than in the United States. I have 14 subjects at my school. The only subject that I can choose on my own are religion or values and standards, or Latin or French. In Germany, these subjects are divided into main and secondary subjects. I have 4 main subjects. These are German, English, math, and Latin. The other 10 are chemistry, biology, physics, history, geography, values and standards, politics and economics, music, art, and sport. The next big difference is the classes in general. I have a fixed class with the same people. We always have the same subjects at the same time. We have a fixed room in which we stay all the time. In Germany, the teachers change rooms. The only exception are science subjects for which we then change rooms. Another difference is the grading system. While there's a point system in America, our works counts particularly strongly in Germany. In addition, we write 2 to 4 large exams per year in each subject, with tests in between. The final difference is the afternoon clubs. In Germany, we have some, but it's not really normal that you do something. Most students go home after school and do private things, regardless of school. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here.
So I think one of the things that we like to highlight, and something that Mr. Larson, Matthew, and I are always looking to do, is we try to take perspectives, whether it be from a different school district. We've sat down and talked with this young lady about some of the different things that we do here to try and incorporate, and critique what we do here to continue to improve our academics and our environment here at Brooklyn High School. But we're definitely excited to have that different perspective, but also to have a young lady with us who's doing great things. Now, what she didn't highlight is something we don't offer, is she's actually an excellent dodgeball player. So do you want to talk? We can't leave that out there. So can you talk a little bit about dodgeball in Germany as an athlete?
Yeah, I play dodgeball for 5 years now in Germany. It's a little bit different, like your dodgeball. Like your rules. It's different. So you don't really have a dodgeball like we have, and I'm the second captain of my team in Germany. So yeah, and it's my favorite sport thing. So yeah.
So I talked to Mr. Becker. We may be talking to the board about adding it, but we'll see. But thank you so much. Let's give her and her support staff a round of applause. Next up, I'm going to invite Mr. Larson back up. So one of the things that we've discussed that we started this year is our ice block. So I'm going to let Mr. Larson talk about some of the highlights and some of the successes that we've already seen in our ability to reconnect some of our students to our school community after some being away for whatever reason and now all being back in the building. Mr. Larson.
Yeah, so when we started off this school year and tried to mimic a normal school year, we knew some of our students were going to need a little bit of additional assistance to getting acclimated back into the school process. So what Ice Block is it's a period that happens in the middle of the day. It's about 40 minutes in length, and it's completely ungraded. Essentially, what it allows us to do is have our teachers lead programs with the students where they can just interact with the students on a person-to-person level and allow the students to interact with one another in collaborative activities. We basically have it broken down by the day in the month, and we have it planned out a month in advance. We have an ice block committee that works in conjunction with our PBIS, which is our Positive Behavioral and Intervention Systems. And what we do is we do interventions, so we discuss things like attendance, grades, goal setting, things like that. Provide opportunities for students to collaborate with one another. I think the other day they actually got to create a movie script working with one another in groups of, say, like 5 or 6 students at a time. Additionally, we like to provide enrichment, and actually one of our enrichment activities has been extremely effective for our students, and it's nothing more than just providing them an opportunity to put their cell phones away, which you know is for any teenager or parent, that's almost impossible for them to do, but they manage to do it on every Tuesday. They get a free reading day, and we're encouraging our students just put the technology away, close the computers, and just read for a little while. And this really has actually bared out a lot of positive fruit for us, for our teachers. They've been really stunned by the fact that the students are coming prepared with items to read. When given that opportunity, they're really jumping into it. And we're going to see, I really believe that we're going to see dividends. And this is going to be nice for us, so we're going to try to continue to work on this as we move forward into the years to come. But it's just, again, it's an opportunity for our students to really connect with one another and connect with our staff in a really positive format that doesn't have necessarily a grade assigned to it.
What's the logic behind being in the middle of the day, just to kind of give them an opportunity to reset before the whole day gets overwhelming and just gets away from them?
Yeah, that was part of it, I think, for sure. We wanted a mindfulness activity in the middle of the day. But also there's a pragmatic piece to it, which allows for our transition from the students who are coming from Polaris and going to Polaris to not miss any academic courses. So it worked kind of twofold.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Trying to be like the Germans.
Right.
So how do you measure performance? How do you, we've always been taught test and measure, test and measure. So how do you measure success in this program?
Well, I think efficacy could be measured by the amount of student involvement that you would see. So I think the students coming prepared on Tuesday has given us the idea that it's successful. On Thursdays, it's kind of our math intervention, and so we use Khan Academy to measure our success. So students are given an opportunity to work on sometimes pre-algebra skills or algebra skills in preparation for either an upcoming EOC, so an end-of-course exam, or maybe even the SAT if they're a junior or senior wishing to take the exam again. So hopefully their scores will improve, and that'll be one way for us to measure success. But in all honesty, it's another way for them just to work with one another. So if they start talking about looking forward to it, that would be really important for us to do as well. So that's one way we measure success on that piece.
So they're being comfortable in the learning environment.
Correct, yeah.
That's really what you're after.
Yeah, and you can look at other things such as attendance. So we know that if a student makes just one single connection to somebody within the building, a staff member, and it doesn't have to be a principal or a teacher, it could be, a custodian or any number of people. We just know that increases the likelihood the student's going to come to the building and really, if they're sitting on the fence as to whether or not to attend that day, they'll definitely consider coming in more so if they feel that connection. So, our attendance numbers are a good indicator as to whether the students feel it's effective as well. Good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So we wanted to highlight too, previously at our previous board meeting that we presented at, we talked about teaching in the block. So a big change for us this year, which our students have experienced and our staff are doing a great job working through, is we have gone to a block schedule. So we really dabbled in it last year out of making sure that we could efficiently transition students with its limited transitions. And what we've really highlighted in these different pictures is seeing what it really looks like for our students in the classrooms. So with the teaching in the block, what we've done is we spent some time with professional development. Michelle and Dr. Caleris and Supriya and the team really helped support us in that. We were able to bring in a presenter who really talked about what does effective teaching in the block look like. So how are we breaking down our times to continue to engage students? Because what we know is that in an 83-minute class period, it's very easy for a student to become disengaged. That's a long amount of time. But if we do it right, what we're going to be able to do is we're actually going to be able to increase our ability to provide hands-on activities. We're going to be able to increase their understanding of material because they're really going to be able to take a deeper dive. So as you can see in these different pictures, what we wanted to highlight is just their engagement. We want to create a comfortable environment for our student. You can see in the one picture, they're sitting on a couch, right? They're having conversations with the teacher. You can see that we have different students working in groups, listening to the teacher as they're working with students. We have students working on Chromebooks, just really highlighting some of the great things that are happening. And that's our kids. That's our students adapting and adjusting to the schedule, really engaging in the work so that they can achieve success. And as you can see, as we continue, we wanted to highlight some of what it looks like for other activities as well. You can see there are a couple pictures of our murals. So right now they're working on about a 30-foot mural in one of the hallways. When you look at some of these interest-based courses, what it's allowing for is it's really allowing them to hone their skills. So instead of them going for a quick 40-minute class, barely getting time to work, and then having to leave, what we're seeing is increased focus, increased levels of design and activity and engagement, but what we're seeing back from that is kids are really enjoying the fact that they got to spend that time in the work of something that they enjoy. A lot of education, we look at math, reading, but one of the other big pieces that we have to always consider is student engagement and their ability to connect to our community. Mr. Larson really highlighted the ICE block and how that's allowing students, because they're integrated 9 through 12. We have different grade levels all mixed together, learning from each other, because we know a senior and the maturity they bring is really going to help those 9th graders kind of figure out, hey, what's good and what maybe do I need to fix a little bit about my approach. But also with teaching in the block, what we're seeing is their engagement is increasing, which is really allowing them to be more successful, but tying them into our community more. And when we talk about successful schools and success in the classroom, outside the classroom, and success in the future, it's that ability to integrate yourself with others so that you can clearly communicate and be successful. Another thing we wanted to highlight this evening is our student engagement at events. So those that have attended some of our football games, Mr. Larson and I were just over at the volleyball game. What we're really seeing is an increase of students who want to be there. They want to be there and they want to be a part of it. Where before, and this was actually a great idea that Mr. Becker and Officer Meadows came up with when we were talking about just students in the stands, is that putting the kids together. I don't know if anybody hasn't followed me on Instagram, but you've seen the roller coaster cheer. Like, we're seeing things that I haven't seen since I've been at Brooklyn. Right? So, and that speaks to, one, our kids are excited to be a part of it. They're excited to be back, but they're also excited to be a part of something. So as you can see, we've got some different events and just highlighting what our students are doing, not only in the classroom, but also out of it. And I think it really speaks to what we've talked about in our portrait of a graduate and building that school culture. The next thing I really wanted to highlight is one of our classes, and one of the reasons I wanted to do that is, so we started a screen printing class. And I actually have a gift from the screen printing team for you guys this evening. So these are hot off the press, so if they're sticky, just ignore it. But anyways, so this year we started a screen printing class, which I'm really excited about. Mr. Casper's work, but really it's the students working. And as you can see, so we're continuing, Mr. Larson and myself are always looking for different things that we can offer students in order to continue to engage them. And what we know is we've got to continue to adapt and be moving with different trends. So for example, screen printing, we have a lot of kids, they like t-shirts, different things they're working on. We had a donation of masks, right? So we're getting a lot of different opportunities for them to create their own artwork. They're gonna start doing quotes on doors. Just different positive and inspirational quotes for teachers' doors, because what we know is that as we see more students engaging in the building, as we see more student work in the building, then it's contagious for other students to continue to create those high levels of work and continue to engage. The last thing I wanted to talk about is just highlight some upcoming events. So we do have parent-teacher conferences coming up October 7th. We will be in the building. Mr. Larson actually today did a great job, so we'll have landing pages where parents can sign up for in-person or remote conferences. So what we did find is that our community is a community that spends a lot of time, they work, and they do that to help support their students. So what we wanted to do was make sure we could still provide that opportunity for parents who maybe a work schedule wouldn't allow them to get in, to really zoom in and be able to have those conversations with students to continue to update. Because what we know is if we have support from the home and we have support from our teachers, that we know that our kids will be much more successful. So parents will be able to sign up for either virtual or in person. We also we'll have a phone option for parents to have conversations with teachers, check on students, and see where they're doing. The last thing I wanted to highlight is we do the week of October 4th, would encourage different families, students to come out and support. We will be celebrating our seniors that week at various events for athletics. So Dr. Kalaris, Ms. Barczyk, Board of Education, I want to thank you for having Mr. Larson and myself here this evening. If there are any questions, or otherwise I'll take a seat.
Thank you for the binder.
Thank you so much. Very cool. I like it.
Just want to say, last comment, Ms. Barczyk, as we enter our third school year under the pandemic, it's just absolutely amazing how supportive our staff is, our kids are, and our parents and the board really. And even when families have a question or a concern, the 99.9% of them, the first line of defense is being positive, asking questions, and engaging us, and that's all we can do to get through this. And it's just a testament that being kind, and that's what this community is about, being kind, will get us through this pandemic. So that's my report.
Thank you. Now on to Mrs. A and the treasurer's report.
I have a short report also. I have on the agenda.
I'm sorry, and if you guys are here for the presentation, you would like to leave, don't feel like you have to stay. So I just want to say that we appreciate you being here, and again, you're more than welcome to. No, you cannot go. No, you cannot. But anybody, seriously, but we thank you everybody for being here. Okay.
Great that block study for mental health for kids. I thought that was awesome.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Mrs. A.
Oh,
Thank you.
Perfect, you're fine. Small agenda for me, I have the audit for fiscal year 21 agreement attached here for Charles E. Harris CPA, and then a couple donations I have on the agenda. And just a reminder, we'll be going to Capitol Conference, Mr. Oper, Mr. Singer, Dr. Claris, and I in November. That's it.
Thank you. Now on to comments from board members and board committee reports, and tonight we're going to start with Mr. Rick Singer.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, she left the room, but I was going to say Velkommen and Guten Abend to Neely. Nice to see we have exchange students here in Brooklyn. I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate our sports teams and athletes with special mention of our Brooklyn varsity team who prevailed over Beechwood last week. We're very proud of you. I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank our superintendent, Dr. Ted Colares, Mrs. Cipriani, and Mr. Sullivan for their participation in the 9/11 memorial event held at our own Brooklyn Stadium. Also like to thank Mr. Black for being there to help out with the technology. We had beautiful weather, a great venue, and support of our choir, our trumpet player, and we had the pleasure of having a 1986 graduate of Brooklyn, Mrs. Jacobs, Professor Jacobs, who sang the national anthem for us. This came a little late after the program, but I'd like to present Dr. Colares in our Brooklyn schools with this 9/11 memorial flag and banner to display and remind our staff and our students of the brave American souls who lost their lives on that day, so that we shall never forget what happened not only 20 years ago, just as we should never forget the atrocities of World War II and the concentration camps and death camps. Forgetting or ignoring history means that you are doomed to repeat the horrors if these lessons are not learned. So Dr. Colares, this is a 20th anniversary memorial flag for 9/11.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
are you welcome?
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
My hopes and prayers are that Brooklyn students never embrace the ideology of critical race theory or cancel culture that has created division in our country, and even amongst many of our friends and classmates here. Social media can be a tool for education, but can also be a weapon that causes harm to relationships. Again, I am very thankful that my fellow board members and members of this administration are vigilant to ensure that we teach independent thinking and not indoctrination. Again, thank you, and I feel privileged to be a board member.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
End of report.
Thank you, Rick. Now on to Mr. Jim Ober.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Aaron, Mr. Larson for tonight. The presentation was great. And there's a lot of good stuff happening up here. Polaris report, there's a lot of work being done on the strategic plan for Polaris going forward and aligning that with administration goals for the year based on the 360 evaluation done earlier in the year. There will be more discussion on that, so I'll have more on that coming. The COVID numbers are similar to what we have here, and contact tracing has determined that infections did not occur at the Polaris campus. After the absence of a year, the Business Advisory Council dinner will happen next month prior to the regularly scheduled meeting. This provides Polaris a chance to visit with various area businesses in the fields of instruction that the school provides and receive feedback on what's happening in their respective industries, and gives the school guidance on how to alter the curriculum if necessary. Chef O is chomping at the bit to provide his usual excellent menu, so I will take one for the team and sample the offerings and report back to the board administration.
Yeah, really taking one for the team.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a dirty job at some of this.
I see some really upsetting selfies coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be pictures of the food, not pictures of the
I'll be sitting outside.
Yeah.
Dedication of Jerry Younger Field was a great evening. Saw a lot of people that I haven't seen for a long time, and hopefully we'll see again, but chances are with the way things happen, you know, there's a lot of people that I won't see again. But I mean, it was an excellent night, and everybody it was just a real good night. That's all I can really say about that. Sorry, Mr. Changary isn't here, but I neglected last month to mention that his dad always used to say about the crossing guards, the kids crossing, especially at Belfin Ridge, you know, be very attentive on the kids crossing, because you know, people with texting and phones and all that jazz, it's too distracting sometimes, and people need to pay more attention. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Upper. Now to Mr. Rocky Neal.
I'd like to welcome everybody back. Nice to see a little bit of a crowd, it was earlier. Again, I'd like to thank everybody who participated on the 9/11 Memorial. Neely, the German Foreign Exchange, welcome, that's wonderful. Sprechen die Deutsch, nicht sehr gut, but a little bit, a couple of years of that. Class of 1996 football team, missed them. I miss them on Friday nights, but glad to see they were around. That was, you know, championship team, so I think it's a lot of good things that are coming back with the other crew and trying to bring the right morale back. I was fortunate enough last week to go through the school for about an hour and a half, caused a bunch of trouble, got out, you know what I mean? It was just nice to come into the school. We missed it for a couple of years, really. So I wandered through the school. Like I said, I caused trouble and I move on. Went from kindergarten, preschool, all the way through 12th. It's enjoyable and just nice to see people's faces and talk to people as well, too. So, Mr. Hare, Mr. Larson, thank you. Jenna Young, let's get that state championship. Couple committee things. Classes. Legislative thing, that's one of my committees. Mrs. A has given me a little bit of a heads up here. On September 15th, a week ago, in attendance on the phone was a Tony Pagelhill, Jessica Valentini, and 56 school district representatives. They had a Legislative Systems Improvement Committee meeting via Zoom. Tony Pagelhill, I think he's a lifetime educator from all over Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, as Brooklyn, we're part of the Alliance for Learning, and
Right.
so what he does is I don't want to say it's an advocacy group, but it's a superintendent's group where we're able to get up-to-date information, and they do a little bit of advocacy in terms of some of the work down at the state level.
Exactly. Which is part of the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Jessica Voltolini, she's near Columbus, and not sure exactly what her title was. But just a few highlights. I'm going to read a paragraph. There was a question: can we clarify the information surrounding mask and quarantine? Remember, this is a week ago. 2 weeks ago, Jessica and Tony and about 15 superintendents held a meeting with the governor and Dr. Vanderhoff to express their current guidance provided needed to be clarified. Updated documents were sent out around Labor Day, but it didn't provide the clarity we were looking for, nor the coordination in the individual health districts that are implementing the policy. Jessica suggested a subgroup of the Alliance get together to discuss the present to the governor what issues need more clarification, including those that met with the governor previously. A Senate bill and a House bill that were introduced to keep schools from issuing mask mandate have had no hearings at this point. The legislature may decide to consider mask mandate legislation when they return next week. So that would be sometime around now. The other thing was, what are the updates on surrounding vaccination? That's House Bill 248. Had 2 hearings in the House before summer recess. The Speaker of the House has said this bill is not moving forward. However, the Speaker and the House leadership team are meeting to introduce new vaccination bill by the end of the month. President Biden's order has nothing to do with regulating vaccine for the same population of people. The bill introduced by the House and leadership team will be the vehicle that the House will use to move vaccination rules. There are concerns with respect to some of the state institutions of higher education and their decisions to require vaccination and what should or should not be required from business perspective. Jessica will update future weeks. That's just part of it. There's a little bit more to it. And then one other thing that I'm sort of involved in, some of you may know, is this was a legislative thing that's a bill that's been summarized. It's Senate Bill 118, and it's about increasing to a 5th degree felony the penalty of the offense of an assault if the victim is a sports official and the assault is committed during or immediately before or after event, or in retaliation for official's action as a sports official. I know everybody knows that I do officiate high school football. I've been doing it for 15 or 16 years. I did basketball for 10 years, and there are fans, and I've made mention to the board before that we're running out of officials in general in high school. There's a shortage part of it's because of parents, and part of it's for whatever other reasons, time and all that kind of stuff. So, when you go to a game, people make mistakes. You know what I mean? We make mistakes as officials, we make mistakes as parents, we make mistakes as people. We don't drive so well sometimes, you know what I mean? We don't do it on purpose. And so what I would say to you is just sort of count to 10 before. You know what I mean? We don't do it on purpose, let me put it that way. I've made mistakes and I go, I wish I wouldn't have did. 3 weeks ago I had a game and I went, I wish I'd have never threw that flag. You know what I mean? And I got a text message from one of the guys in the stands. He goes, you blew the call. I go, I think I did too. So, you have to bite the bullet, and that's what happens. So anyway.
This is on tape.
That's all right. He already knows. He showed me the film too. So anyway, like I said, when you go to a game, be respectful to the referee. He doesn't go into your job and start screaming at you. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to sort of look at. Before I became an official, I was probably one of those guys, you know what I mean? So that's it. And so I just want to say, breathe before you really get offensive. So, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. And now on to Mr. Rob Slattery.
Thank you. Just quickly, and a couple of the board members have already kind of jumped on this. The 9/11, it was a non-school event. We saw a need for it, and a group of people got together and put it together. But some of the students did represent us very well. We had the Singing Storm, Sienna Barkley, Annabelle Guerre. Did I say that right? Jaguar, I'm sorry. I talked to her mom, darn it. Okay, Amber Rice, Izzy Santiago, Kaylee Sanal, Destiny Tanks, and Jessica Drayton. And then we had two of the trumpet players play taps in kind of echo, Carson Artem and Zach Masiri. But I can tell you, being part of putting this, coming up with the ideas of putting this together and everybody kind of circling the wagon, Mr. Sullivan and Mrs. Cipriano were a big help bringing up. Bobby Black was there, and he told me we've got some photos coming. Mrs. Neal made a couple calls to her, even though it was a non-school event. The facilities were made readily available. The custodial crew, when we first got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, it was the morning after a football game, the stands were just filled with, I don't think anybody throws anything away. I think they just set it down and walk away. How those two women got it cleaned up in a matter of an hour was amazing. Dr. Ted was involved in this as well. I know that the school got some pushback on it. It was not a school event. It was not a political event. I think it was, I would love to see more people attend. Hopefully next year we won't have to put it on. Hopefully the city will take it upon themselves to do it again. They already started some talk, but it was an event where everybody came together for one great cause, and it was just, I was proud to be part of it. It was a cool event. The kids did fantastic. They were there. They looked great. They showcased their talents unbelievably. So I just wanted to thank everybody that had a hand in that, so.
I would have butted in there real quick. One of the speakers at the end, even though he was a little disjointed on his, he was one of the gentlemen from the FBI and the CIA was on the task force to find Muhammad Ali. So it was pretty interesting. I mean,
He's reached out to apologize. His speech was kind of a little all over the place, but as he went up to the podium, he opened his binder and his speech went, the wind took it. So his whole speech was all, and he was going on memory. So I saw him later that afternoon. He's like, I am so sorry. So what are you talking about? It was incredible.
Right.
I mean, we had an Ohio Supreme Court justice that, I mean, was bringing tears to people's eyes. Just very dynamic speakers. And it was just, it's one of the lessons, like Rick said, we can't forget. And a lot of the kids walking the halls in this building really don't know a whole lot about it. And a lot of other events. And I think we should be tasked with reminding them of all of these things at any chance we can. So I think it came off pretty well. So I'm proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I also would like to thank everyone who had any part in the 9/11 memorial. I think it was a wonderful event, and I'd like to thank the citizens who put it together. Rob, you were this was your event, and it was a very important event, and you did it very well, very classy, and I think it was.
There was a lot of people involved.
You did a great job, and our Brooklyn, it was not a school event, but our students did shine. It was very proud to see our students performing, because I've seen little clips and stuff. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who had anything to do with that, and then I would also like to thank Mr. Hare and Mr. Larson. Thank you for your presentation. It's wonderful and fascinating to see what it's like in other countries and compared to what we have here and what we're doing. So it was a nice perspective, and I hope she feels welcome in Brooklyn, and I hope she feels like she has a second home here. So, and if anyone would like to reach me, I can always be reached at 216-406-4304. And now we're going on to
I'm going to butt in one more time.
Okay.
I just want to let everybody know that Mrs. Parchek went to her first college football game.
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Yes, I did. And
She went to Ohio State game, so she goes, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen.
Yes, and
so that was her first game ever.
And it may have been the first time that they lost in 23 consecutive home games.
She's not allowed to go anymore.
And I may not be allowed to go back again. But it was absolutely wonderful, and I loved it. It was great. It was great. I just hope I get to go again. If I'm not banned permanently forever from.
You're sitting to Michigan State.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be their best friend.
We will have videos of the 9/11.
Yes.
I had a camera set up on the podium the entire time, but my daughter went into labor and had a baby the same day, so we've been playing, visiting, so the videos get kind of pushed to the side.
Grandpa.
Yes, Grandpa. It was, speaking of that, it was very funny. He was like, 2 hours. She can't have the baby on September 11th, and I just need 2 hours. And I was like, we all know, he just said it, that baby's coming September 11th.
She called me at 6 a.m. We're going to the hospital. I'm like, I'll drop your mom off. I'll be there after. Thank God. I was protected. I don't look bad. They only had a rule. Only 2 people in the room could be there, so my wife went and
You were there in
I was
spirit.
yeah.
You were there in
Oh,
spirit.
I was by the phone the whole time. Like, come on, let's go.
Now on to tonight's reading of tonight's board agenda and board minute reports, and tonight's reader is Mr. Rick Singer.
Thank you, Madam President.
3.1.
Yeah.
Be resolved that the minutes of the Board of Education meeting be adopted and all action taken by the Board of Education at said meeting is hereby reaffirmed and approved.
Have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Mrs. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the second reading and adoption of the following board policies. 0169.1, public participation in board meetings, and policy number 8450.1, face coverings policy.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Mrs. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves salary schedule placement for the 2021-22 school year as follows. Jacinta Bader, Class 5, Step 9. Elizabeth Buduleta, Class 5, Step 13. Nick Chernushin, Class 5, Step 14. Jeff Jones, Class 5, Step 10. Chris Ross, Class 5, Step 20.5. Scott Urick, Class 5, Step 20.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Dr. Ted, just for edification of the audience, like step of the class 5, is that like where they, once you reach a
So-
certain level,
Yeah,
everybody
so-
ends up in
right,
class
so
5?
the classes go horizontally, and you move across the contract, the steps, the classes based on education attainment, so credits, and then vertically, it's all are the steps. So this recommendation here is for staff members that have met the educational requirement to move over a class.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else? Mrs. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves employment of the following certified personnel as long-term substitute, BA Class 2, Step 0, prorated effective September 13th, 2021 for the school year of 2021-22, contingent upon the satisfactory completion of all credentials and background checks. We have Kimberly Kramer, long-term substitute, social studies, BA Class 2, Step 0, and prorated effective 9/13/2021.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a
Second.
Questions, comments? Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves employment of the following certified personnel as a daily at-will building period substitute, again contingent upon satisfactory completion of all credentials and background checks. We have Zachary Zarenik, at-will daily building substitute, $90 per day, 4 days per week, effective 9/22/21 for the school year of 2021-22. And Kathleen Mack, period substitution, 24/16 per period as needed, effective 9/10/21.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Questions, comments? Mrs. A, can you call the roll?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following CATS employee for the 2021-22 school year, contingent upon satisfactory completion of all credentials and background checks. We have Kelsey Folk, up to 5 hours per day, at an hourly rate of $11.22 per hour.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mrs. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
I'm going to abstain. This is my neighbor. I just want to avoid any kind of conflict.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved.
Excuse me one
that
second,
Brooklyn-
Mr. Mayor. We would record that, I think it's 4-0.
Right, yes.
Okay, all right.
Great kid, just I don't want any conflicts.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby amends resolution number 21-05-184 to reflect an increase of hours from 5.5 hours per day to 7 hours per day for Melody Click, bus driver, effective September 13th, 2021 for the 2021-22 school year.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Questions, comments?
We, if you remember, we just amended her from the last meeting from 5 to 5.5, but between that last meeting and this meeting, we had another transportation need for one of our preschool students, so Melody's gonna fill that role.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby amends resolution number 21-05-166 to reflect a decrease of hours from 5.5 hours per day to 4.5 hours per day for the following classified. J.C. Rowland, playground monitor, effective for the 2021-22 school year. And we have Lori Stahura, playground monitor, effective 9/20/21 for the 2021-22 school year.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Ms. Z, can you call the roll?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be it resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the resignation of Sheila Cahuth, classroom assistant, effective end of the day on September 17th, 2020.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second. Questions, comments? Ms. Z, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves employment of the following preschool classroom assistant for the 2021-22 school year, contingent upon satisfactory completion of all credentials and background checks. Samantha Dayton, preschool classroom assistant, 7.25 hours per day, Appendix B, Step 3, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and up to 6 additional hours on Fridays, prorated, effective September 27th, 2021.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. I'll second it. Questions, or Jim? Questions, comments?
This is the Ms. Dayton's replacing Sheila in this resolution.
Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
I'm going to abstain on this as well. I serve on a separate board with her grandmother, so just to avoid any issue.
Okay. Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
You get around.
And sorry to slow things down there for you. I know you're on a roll.
Mess me up.
Be it resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following athletic event workers for the 2021-22 school year. Janice Kriowski, tickets. Maggie Clancy, tickets. Mary Ellen Sefcik, blind judge and tickets. Melanie Vukmir, scorebook and tickets. Mike Vrost, chain crew for the football team.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery. Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following person for the 2021-22 supplemental teaching assignment with the provision that such individuals comply with all the rules and regulations and the State Department of Education regulations pertinent to the proper certification and fulfills the requirements of the job description attached to their supplemental contracts. We have 6th grade Greenfield Village Field Trip Coordinator Judy Fortuna.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the engagement of Charles E. Harris and Associates, Inc. to prepare the audit for the fiscal year 2021 not to exceed $22,400.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
This is very similar to the cost of last year, right?
Yes, it is. I don't have the exact amount, but yes, it is. Yeah, and it's up to 22,400, so it might not go.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was last year too.
Colin always pushes for the two part.
Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Ober.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education, in accordance with ORC 3313.26, gratefully accepts the following donations. Generous anonymous donation of $1,000 to the Brooklyn School Principal's account for the benefit of the students. The board also gratefully accepts We Must Not Forget Holocaust Stories of Survival and Resistance by Deborah Hopkinson and The Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl from Mr. Rob Slattery and the Millennium Money Tree by John A. Logan from Mr. John Logan.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Rob, were you able to, do you know if you have a contact information information for John, so we can send him a letter, thank you.
I don't have any.
I can get it. Yeah, John graduated with me,
Can
and
you get
yeah,
that?
we talked at length the night of the.
Yeah, if you could
thing.
get that, that'd
Sure.
be great, appreciate it.
He's also, actually, he's very big in the insurance field. He's actually seven-figure type guy now. And he was the one that came up with the idea of divorce insurance. Believe it or not. Based on his personal experience, he came up
Screw
with
me once.
Since this is on tape, I will not be getting that insurance.
I'm not even just this. That's how he.
Where's the camera? I'm happy. I don't.
Sandy, you didn't buy a policy.
Everybody has a chance to decline.
And we have lost control.
God bless Sandy, is all I'm gonna say about that one.
Stop. I'm an angel.
God bless.
I'm an angel, you know it.
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you for your donations.
Thank you so much, Lou. Thank you, thank you. Ms. A, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Oper.
Yes.
I think I skipped you. Mr.
Yeah.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes.
I was gonna leave it up to you.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Okay, do we have any correspondence related to any action information? None. Okay. The announcement of the next regular meeting is Tuesday, October 5th, Brooklyn Community Room, Brooklyn High School, Room 173, 9200 Bidoff Road, Brooklyn, Ohio, at 6 p.m. Do we have any other business?
Just the November 2nd, just a reminder, November 2nd.
November
the
2nd,
calendars.
yeah, I'll confirm with Polaris, I'll send everybody the information, but right now, November 2nd will be work session only, no agenda items, so we can do strategic planning conversation and 5-year forecast preparation discussion, and we'll go at 4:30 Polaris. I'll
Okay.
send information.
No leftovers.
We're probably working a tour too.
Okay, yeah,
I'd like
Bob
that.
Bob did
That'd be-
mention that, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Now, resolve that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves entering into executive session for the purpose of the investigation of charges or complaints against the employee, official, license, or student, matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or rules or state statutes. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Mrs. A, can you call the roll for us to enter into executive session?
Mr. Singer.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Oper.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck.
Yes. After exit executive session, there will be no further action taken by the board.